Good day everyone and welcome to Adventure Sparker. Today we're doing our very first Planet Coaster 2 build through, time lapse, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, kind of nervous to be doing this, to be honest, but you know what? We're just going to give it a go and see what happens. And without any further ado, let's spark some adventure.
Let the good times roll.
All right, welcome back. Well, welcome for the first time, actually, to my first Planet Coaster build through. Today, I'm working on a project called the Water-ful World of Oz, which is a Wizard of Oz inspired water park. I know I said I would start with my Magic Kingdoms project first, but I actually decided to enter this contest through Channel 5 Gaming, who is another big Planet Coaster creator who I love and is a big inspiration for why I decided to do Adventure Sparker in the first place. But anyways, he's doing a water park challenge. And, you know, since I want to be more involved in the Planet Coaster community and make more Planet Coaster friends, I figured this would be a good opportunity to, you know, join the contest and, you know, try my hand at creating. I know I'm not the best, but thankfully with this contest, there's different categories. So I'm going to be with, you know, with all the other beginners. So it shouldn't be too much pressure. But yeah, like I said, I'm doing a Wizard of Oz inspired build, and I already did a little bit of it beforehand. If you watched my intro video, you might have actually seen little clips of it in the background. But I had started with this tower, like kind of like a lighthouse in the Emerald City kind of thing. It's surrounded by a wave pool. So I might talk about that in more detail, but there's two water slides there to go around it. But what you're seeing here is I needed something for the end of the wave pool. You know, a lot of times the wave machines are held in some sort of pump house, and a lot of times those will be themed and they look all cool depending on what water park it's at. If it's a high budget one, like, you know, the style we're going for, it's themed and it's got some fun elements. So that's exactly what we're trying to do here. And because the wave pool is kind of going to be surrounded by this Emerald City inspired area, I thought what would make for a better centerpiece than the wizard himself. So yeah, that's my attempt at making the wizard out of the art pieces. Actually, I did better than I think I thought I would have done, which is great. And what I'm trying to do now is attach it to one of those rotating animatronic pieces. I don't think I could get it to work. So eventually I just gave up and placed them. I do figure it out because I messaged some people in the Discord. What I had to do was put the camera into a different mode than from what I was using. So you got to put it in the mode where Q and E rotate the camera instead of going up and down. And that's the setting I like to keep it on, is the up and down one. But yeah, I had to change that camera setting and then I could attach it to the rotating platform. So that's kind of weird, but you know, eventually I get it to work. But for now, it's just sitting there. And what I'm working on here is the arch that that the wizard's going to be sitting in, kind of like a band shell sort of thing. And I had never done one of those more complex builds before, where, you know, you use those pieces and you rotate them around to make a circular item out of flat items. That's kind of some advanced stuff, so I'm surprised I was able to pull it off. And you can see me trying a few different things to fill in that gap there, because I don't think I got the distance quite right. I do settle for this log thing that I'm putting there. I don't really like the ropes. It doesn't really quite fit with the Emerald City theme, but I do lean into some of the nautical aspects as we go along in the build. You know, like it's the Emerald City, but it's very much acknowledging that we're in a water park, so it's kind of blending that fantasy Wizard of Oz classic style with some of your more traditional water park aquatic theming elements. So yeah, I'm just kind of finishing that band shell area. And then I have a building in the back there. Eventually that's going to have a water coaster go through it and possibly some effects in the building. I'm surprised at how far it's come along, to be honest. It's quite wild. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm getting a color. I wasn't sure which yellow would be a good shade for gold, so sometimes I'll actually look up like yellow gold color code, or sometimes I'll take a reference picture and put it into paint and try to use the eyedropper to get certain colors. Like I do that in my Magic Kingdoms build quite a bit to get colors for Snow White and the Queen and the dwarfs and get those iconic shades down pat. So yeah, if you need a certain color in Planet Coaster, instead of playing around with the mixers, you can do things like that to try to get exactly the right color that you need. So I got that, and now I'm outfitting those turrets to the side and the area around the wizard with some special effects. You know, in the movie, you go to see the wizard, there's some fire blasting anytime he speaks. So I really wanted to emulate that and have it so it's on a 10-second trigger. Or I think originally I had it on a 30-second trigger, which I thought was a little too quick. So you see me here playing around with this, slowing it down. And then here I find the flamethrower, because I had a different fire effect there. Like it was more of a jet stream rather than a flamethrower. So then I discovered this piece, and it just works so much better. It looks so awesome. But yeah, like I said, I kind of get it so that it works on a 10-second loop, which I think is the perfect time. Like 30 seconds was too long. Like I felt like I was waiting around for it to go, and it was just too much time. The only thing, when you have multiple pieces like that, you have to make sure that they're all synced at the same time. So what you just saw me do there was delete all of the pieces and then bring them back while the game is paused, and then that'll sync it all up so everything's happening at the same time. So I'll probably fiddle around with that a few more times before I'm done. And yeah, I also put some sparks on the side. Eventually I do remove those because I don't think it worked quite as good as I thought it did. Oh yeah, and here I am returning to the wizard. I finally figure out what I need to do. Or do I? No, I'm still playing around at this point. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try again and I'll add a square piece. And I think I try putting a pillar in there to try to see if I can get it to attach. Yeah, I was struggling. But yeah, it's just the camera setting that you gotta change. So we get there eventually, just not yet. Maybe this is it. Ah, yeah, see, there we go. That's when I got the message in the Discord. So I had to change the camera setting, and then it allowed me to attach it. You also got to make sure you have the attached to building selection on, which I did. Like, I knew that wasn't the issue. And it does take a bit of finagling. Like, I think I had it, and then I didn't. So, yeah, I was still struggling with it for a bit. But we do get it eventually. Is that me getting it? Yes. Okay, yeah, there we go. Look at me go. I figured it out. What I'm also going to try to do, and I end up abandoning this idea, is attach it to a like a horizontal rotator, because I thought it'd be cool to have him swivel his head side to side as well as nod his head, but I don't know. Like I don't think I got the motion down. I didn't like it, and I think the oscillation is too much. Like the shortest rotational distance you can go is just a quarter turn. I needed like an eighth turn for that to work. So I ended up abandoning it, and it looks good too, like just on its own with him swiveling side to side. I think I tried to put a water effect on that little wooden piece jutting out. I decided against that as well. But then in the back, I put a little sign for the Wizard of Oz. I do change it from what that is eventually. But yeah, I'm dressing up his spot with some curtains. I really love those drapes. I think that's from the mythological set. They're quite versatile. I've been using them in a lot of my builds. So yeah, and they work perfectly here with the wizard. Like they look like what you see in the movie. So yeah, here I go. I'm changing the sign. The Great and Terrible Wizard of Oz. It looks really cool when it's all put together. And I love how Planet Coaster 2 has more fonts than the original game did. Like, I still feel like I could use a few more, but it is a big jump from what we had available in Planet Coaster 1. Oh, and then here I finish off that building with some waterfall pieces, which I had never used before. I really didn't have a reason to build a waterfall in Planet Coaster 2 yet, so I really just wanted an excuse to try them out and see how they worked. And I found that the best way to do it is to put the top piece and the middle piece one over top of each other, at least for a small waterfall like that. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm bringing in a blueprint just to see how the waterfalls work. But yeah, I find that putting the emitter one on top of each other tends to work best. And then I didn't use a bottom piece because, you know, it's going into the wave pool. The waves are going all crazy. Like, the bottom piece just didn't make sense. I tried putting it in, but I think it really needs to be a more still body of water for that to be super effective. So yeah, I just used the top and the middle piece, and it looks fine. And then I added this marble trim to it because I wanted to see if I could find, like, I don't know, like a drain sort of piece to make it look like it was coming out of pipes. But then I found this marble piece, and I thought that worked really well. And here's where you'll see me do the first of what I'm sure will be many instances of pathing work, trying to finagle with it and figure it out. As you can see, I have this complicated yellow brick road design in the middle that's going to be where guests enter into this water area. So I keep going back and forth about where I wanted the direction of the yellow brick road to go, because once I got the swirl down, which was before I started this build, I was pretty happy with it. It's not perfect. Like, I come back and adjust the width of it every so often, but the actual circle design is fine. But then I eventually settle on this kind of waving design going up alongside the wave pool, and eventually that's going to lead into a plaza where I do the station for my water coaster, which is, hey, what I'm working on now. By the way, this is something that I filmed yesterday, and let me know if you like this kind of style of video. Like I said, I'm going to experiment with a few different formats, but I really like this so far because I can just put on the screen recorder, do my thing. I don't have to worry about narrating what I'm doing in the moment. I can just build and have fun, and it's just going in the background. It doesn't slow anything down, which is awesome. Because that's one thing I was worried about with starting this channel, is that my screen recorder would... running the screen recorder and running the game at the same time, I was afraid that would cause issues, but that is not the case. It seems to be, it seems to run pretty smooth, which is great. So I think this might be a format I continue to use. But yeah, I basically had it on in the background as I was doing my thing. So that's why this might not be the smoothest of builds. Like, I'm not a very efficient builder to begin with, but, you know, I'm experimenting, I'm trying things out, I'm pulling up other websites to get a color palette, so bear in mind, or bear with me as I struggle with the game. But yeah, I feel like I had a point with that. I guess, yeah, just let me know if you like this style, and if you do, I'll keep doing more of it. I know what I was trying to say. I was trying to just say that I don't quite remember everything that I do in order. Like, I know generally what the build is eventually going to look like, but there might be little things that I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I tried that and completely went in a different direction. So I'm kind of narrating, but it's almost like I'm seeing it in real time. But yeah, here, like I said, I'm working on a water coaster, and I have my two sides in the middle, which are called Wicked Twisters. So I have an Elphaba side and a Glinda side, with the Glinda side being like the transparent tube, kind of like it's in her bubble. And they just twist around that tower. They don't do too much. And then the Glinda side just runs out into like a regular water slide run out. And then the Elphaba side, or the Wicked Witch side, it's not really Elphaba per se. That one actually ends into a like a toilet bowl element, you know, the plug where you spin around and drop out the middle. So I just wanted to give them unique endings. But then this water coaster is going to be something that's a little more of a storytelling coaster. Like, I want it to be something that traces Dorothy's journey, very loosely, of course. Like, you don't have a lot of time to tell a full story on a water slide, and because of the nature of how you're riding a slide, it's going to be much more unpredictable than a roller coaster or even a dark ride, in the precision of where the camera can be and what elements I can show. So, but I did want to try to do a few things with characters and scenes as you go along. And this first part here, I really wanted to do that funnel element, because it kind of represents the twister that brought Dorothy to Oz. And I really like having it positioned there towards what's eventually going to be the front entrance to the park, because it's kind of like, the twister that brought her in. It just makes sense in that position, and it's something you can see outside of the water park area as well. And that's also why I have it as an open flume. Like, I think it'd be really cool to have guests standing outside the park and they see this twister, and that's really all they can see. Like, the rest of it's going to be at least somewhat blocked off from guest view. We had this twister-like funnel, and that's the connection between the real world and the water-ful world of Oz. But yeah, from there I have a few of those water jet sections. Here I have it go through the what's going to be like the main castle building. I kind of put it on a downward slope, so it's just a little 4-meter drop, very gradual, but eventually that's going to be filled with some effects, and I still haven't finished that part yet, so I'm not entirely sure what's going to be in there, because I don't want to just repeat the wizard figure that I have on the outside. Like, I need to have it be something unique, but it might be as simple as having a few flame effects, maybe having something on the wall in front of you. I don't know. If you have any suggestions, let me know, because that's still a creative problem that I haven't solved. Oh, but then here, I was really struggling with getting that slide to line up, and I thought I would be able to, do that one piece going through the building and then connect it up again, because you can do that with the roller coaster. Like, you can kind of do your coaster in segments and then connect the 2 segments up afterwards. I couldn't do that with the water slide. Like, I could delete that the track in between and make that second segment, but then I couldn't connect those segments back up again. So I had to retrace the path of the slide with my flume. So that's what I was doing there. And then I didn't like the angle of the slide there. Like, I felt like that 90-degree turn was, I don't know, it just felt unnecessary. So here I'm just trying to finagle with the nodes and trying to smooth it out to try to, get that angle just a little more direct, so it's not that weird 90-degree bend. I end up just deleting that segment because I couldn't get it to work for some reason. It just wanted to stick to that bend. It wouldn't turn no matter how many times I tried to manipulate those nodes. It still wanted to do that 90-degree. I couldn't change that angle, and I don't know, I feel like the smoothing tools on the water slides aren't as powerful as they are on the coasters, because this is definitely something I could do with the coaster tracks. Like, I know it's something I've done before. So yeah. See, like, it just keeps that bend in. I just want it to go straight in from the top of that lift into the building. So eventually all of that's going to be deleted. Yeah, there we go. And then I also add an oscillator to the top there. And I had a few different ideas. There it is. I had a few different ideas for what I wanted the oscillator to be. Like, I really like that rounded dome shape, so I thought, oh, maybe that could be worked into like a tower within the Emerald City. Like, maybe that's the Emerald City Water Tower. But then when I went to build around it, the grid pieces were too small. It didn't really work. And because I'm submitting this for a contest and it has to be submitted as a blueprint, I'm very wary of the 4,000 piece limit. Not that I'm anywhere near it, but I still haven't done a lot of the detailing that's going to be required. I still have more buildings to do. So I didn't want to waste my pieces. Like, I want it to be as efficient as possible. So the tower idea, I eventually, I've moved on from that. But what I might do, because I haven't colored the slide the way I want it to be colored yet. I might do that segment pink, and then it can be another reference to Glinda's bubble or something like that. Not that it really makes sense in that spot in the story, but you know what? It's a theme park. I can do what I want. Here, I think I had a tough time figuring out what I wanted to do with the second launch, because I feel like I needed another big element here, and I also wanted to do something where the slide entered the Wicked Witch's castle. So, you know, I tried out a few different things. Like, I tried the bowl, I tried just doing some turns. What I eventually do is just drop in to this wave wall, And I really like that. So like I'd make the bottom of that wave wall the entrance to the witch's castle, and that's going to end up being just a super simple building. Nothing too crazy, just, you know, like a box with some towers, more or less. But inside I figured I could put some figures in, like it'd be cool to zip by a figure of the Wicked Witch on the way in and maybe on the way out as she's melting. And maybe inside the castle I could have some figures of flying monkeys. I haven't created any of those yet. Those will be done in a future episode. But yeah, that'll definitely be a good moment to have some effects. And, you know, even though the element on its own would probably be cool within the castle, that's just going to be, you know, that's a climax of the story. So it makes sense that it's going to be something special and technologically advanced, or, you know, as far as you can get in Planet Coaster. And then there's the matter of ending the ride. And I was going to do this little splash pool adjacent to the Yellow Brick Road swirl. But eventually I abandoned this, and I decided to go for a second, not a second, what number are we on? 4? I put in another water blaster, and I figured it would make sense, if we're being somewhat realistic, that a raft slide like this wouldn't end the opposite side of the park as the station. Like, that raft's gonna have to get back up there eventually. So yeah, I end up sending it back there. So even though I don't actually build a conveyor belt to return the rafts, you can imagine that it'd be close enough that the rafts can get up there somehow. I might add that in if I have pieces to work with, but again, I'm kind of wary of that piece limit, and I don't want to do too much. Okay, so yes, here's where I had the idea to get rid of that ending bit and reroute it so that it ends closer to the station. And that ends up working for me really well. I eventually create this courtyard-like area by the station, and it's this nice little plaza where the Yellow Brick Road ends. So it just makes sense. But it does take me a while to figure out exactly what route I want the water coaster to take. I really wanted to incorporate that weird bendy pipe element. I just had it on the screen there, but it's so big, like I couldn't really incorporate it right. Like I felt like I needed to go taller with my water blasters, but I didn't really want to do that at this point because I'm trying to, you know, wind down the coaster or wind down the flume and bring it back. And I didn't want to, I didn't want to do too much. Like, I don't know, it was one of those things where I felt like I needed one more element, but nothing too crazy. I eventually go with one of those oscillators, basically the same thing that I had on the end of that thing. I had the same thing over when the slide was ending on the other side of the area, but I eventually bring it so that's the last element you go through. Because I think I tried it and then, you know, had a bit of slide afterwards, but then when I watched it back, it was just way too slow. So yeah, you can see that I have the oscillator there, a bit of flume, and then the end. But that area after the oscillator, like it was just going way too slow for my preference. So I end up adding a little bit more length to the flume and then make that oscillator the very last thing before the splashdown. And then at the very end here, you can see me start work on that little plaza I was talking about. And that was where I was supposed to stop the video, but there's more. So that's where I was supposed to end the video. I had turned the camera off thinking I was going to go to bed. Then I saw something and I'm like, oh, let me just take 10 more minutes to do a few more adjustments. But then 10 minutes turned into 4 hours of work, and I wished I had the camera on for that, but I didn't. But we ended up completing most of the Emerald City facade. So I had the queue go over that archway. I had that plaza where the water coaster ends. Obviously fixed the water coaster, put the queue up through these arches, and yeah, like that whole area is pretty much done. Yeah, I did a lot more work than I thought I did. Made the station for the water coaster. Yeah, I was not supposed to do this much more work. Time definitely got away from me, but I was just having so much fun with the build. Oh, and there's the castle I was talking about, with the wave wall. So in there, I want to put some sort of effect, maybe some flying monkeys. Maybe I can fit the witch in there. I'm still gonna, you know, figure out what to do, and I haven't even created the figures yet, much less try to figure out how I want to animate them. But yeah, that's the vision. And you can see more of the tower there. I do actually move the tower later on. I'm actually saving that for a second episode. But yeah, there's the wave pool with the great and terrible Wizard of Oz. Boom. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this first little building episode of Planet Sparker. Oh my god, I don't even know my own channel name of Adventure Sparker. I hope you enjoyed that. And again, please let me know if you like this format. If you'd rather me do something different, let me know that as well. I'm really just learning as I go and experimenting and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. So yeah, please do let me know your thoughts because I do want to hear them. And like I said in my intro video, I want to make this channel yours as much as it is mine. So if you have any other ideas for the build as well, please let me know. I do have an entire second part filmed already because I hyper-focused on this and can't help myself. So that'll be coming out soon. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Thank you again for watching. And be sure to subscribe, of course. Brand new channel. It's important to get some subscribers, so do hit that subscribe button. And be sure to hit that notification icon. I already have another episode from this build filmed. I just got to do the voiceover for it. So that should be coming out soon. And I'll probably have another episode of this because I got to get this build done before January 16th, I think, which seems like a lot of time, but you know, I want to get it done sooner rather than later so I don't miss that submission deadline. So yeah, at least one more episode from this, or at least 2 more episodes from this build, and then I'll probably take a short little break just because I need to focus on some Adventures with Parker stuff, Adventures with Parker being my other channel. So yeah, I'll be doing some of that New Year stuff and then coming back and starting with my Magic Kingdoms project. So yeah, because my schedule is all over the place, you definitely want to hit that notification icon to be reminded when my videos finally do come. Well, once again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you being here and following along. And until next time, have a good one. Bye!